welcome back to A Game of Fangs and Thorns. My name's Hannah. I write books and occasionally read them too. My first two novels, A Little Piece of Magic from Witches and From Witches and Wolves, are available on Amazon. Kindle Unlimited is included, as well as an ebook and a physical copy for both books. And my next book, Rise of the Riders, is scheduled for release for the 20th of May. Details for that pre-order will be in the description down below as well. But this week we are just reading sequels. I've seen a couple of these videos go out before, and now's a good time as any to join in, I think. So April for me was a good reading month. I will have a wrap up fairly soon, but it was a good month reading wise and also writing wise. But so in April I focused on reading sequels, physical sequels, and that is something I'm going to continue on. I'm sorry about the light, but that is something I'm going to continue on in May. May is also release day for Dragon, Rise of the Riders, and also the 23rd is my birthday. And I have some time off booked from work, from day job, so there is that. Can you I think this nail is a different colour, but I'm not sure the camera's picking it up. It just looks like these look more peachy and this looks more purpley, but it's fine, we can deal. But yes, so I'm concentrating on sequels for reading as well as working on sequels for writing. So I do have last week's vlog to edit and upload, but while we're doing that, I'm reading Glint. Nope, not Glint. That is Glint. I'm reading Glint by Raven Kennedy, which is the sequel to, I want to say it's Gold. Let me check, because you are just, bear with you, the book is just behind you. I still can't see it, but I think it's Gold. Can I grab it? Let's not break everything. Guild. That is the first book. I keep calling it Gold. I'll go back in. Please go back in. Oops. Just attacking and destroying everything. But yes, I am reading Glint, which is the sequel to Guild, which is a Midas retelling. I'm just going to put this back. A Dark King Midas retelling. If you weren't aware, Midas was a king in Greek myth who, through various shenanigans, ended up being gifted the power to turn things to gold. That still stands, but in this one, Midas has met Orin, and in the first book we don't really know much about her. We are getting more about her in the form of flashbacks in Glint, but she has not had a good life, and maybe Midas is taking a bit of advantage of her. We'll just clean up the desk as we go. Maybe Midas is taking advantage because she is solely dependent on him, and he gold touches her. Now we're still not quite sure what that entails, what that actually means, other than the obvious, because Orin also has these sort of extra appendages, she calls them ribbons, but I'm sort of imagining them as like a prehensile tail of sorts, and they are also in gold. I think she has like 12 pairs down each side of her spine. So that's interesting, and we don't know anything about those yet, but it's interesting to see where this is going to go. There are major trigger warnings for dubious or non-consent, sexual assault, because Oren is also what's called a saddle, and she isn't basically a pleasure slave. She isn't allowed to be touched. She is King Midas's favoured, but she lives with the other saddles who are allowed to be touched. They are used, so there is that. So be wary of this book if you are not in a good place. But full spoiler warnings will be on Goodreads. Not spoiler, content warnings will be on Goodreads if you feel you need to look at them. I would, just so that you're not blindsided, if there is something potentially uncomfortable or triggering. The author doesn't glorify the saddles in any way, it's just they're there. So without going too much into it for spoilers, this is the continuation. Now, I know last week I said we got two perspectives, but we only really got one. Well, so this one starts with the Queen, Midas's wife, opening the story, and I've just read a couple of chapters ago, I read another one of hers, but the majority of it is in Oren's perspective, so it's fairly interesting because of what happens and where these characters are. But that being said, I'm going to crack on with editing last week's vlog. Yes, I have a theme with all my bags. They're Charlie and Fox, and they are amazing. So yes, I will crack on. I will stop talking and do some work. You are crooked, but you are also balanced very precariously, so we are just going to have to live with it. It's Wednesday. I'm this close, I would say, to getting my final cover for Rise of the Riders, which I think I've talked about in this video, but if I haven't, this is my dragon inspired fantasy following Aurora, who is an orphaned human raised by elves in a world where elves are the bad guys and magnificent dragons and cute griffins are conscripted into a war which strips them of intelligence, independence, and warps their most sacred bond with humans and elves. So that's that. I'm so excited. Current release date, which I'm pretty sure will go ahead, is the 20th of May, but as always, links to all of my books will be down in the description below. Currently, that is A Little Piece of Magic from Witches and Wolves, which is book 1 and book 2 in my paranormal witchy werewolf romance series, Planned Quartet. And then obviously on the 20th of May we have the release of Rise of the Riders, which is the first in a planned trilogy of which I am calling The Riders, because with the subsequent releases you will understand why. But this video is not about that. The focus is not the writing, simply because I am not. I've done my edits, I've sent it off to some beta readers. I have a copy with a version, let's just say, with all the updates ready to be uploaded, and I want to do that and the cover at the same time, so Amazon will not shout at me as much, hopefully. But that's the plan for probably later on in the week, if not next week. But this week, we are focusing on the reading, specifically focusing on the reading of sequels to try and get my currently reading series list down. Now, I am aware that I have a lot of longer series that I don't have all the books for, and that's fine. We can just catch up with where I am, and then we can move over to hopefully more digital books than physical, purely because I am running out of space and there are so many good books that I want to read. I've lost part of a nail again, but this one was coming off anyway. I think it just got caught on something and then just yeeted itself off. But yes, so I'm in the middle of quite a few series. Downside of being, one, a big reader, and two, a fantasy predominant reader. So I have a couple of longer series in there. Some are continuations. They're new series within an old series, so like the Cosmere. It's the only one so far that I can think of. But I'm sure there'll be another one somewhere that I just either don't realise was a series or just forgot to pull out separately. So, book I'm currently reading, I'm sure I've told you, is Glint by Raven Kennedy. This is the second in the Guild series, or the Plated Prisoner series. A Dark Midas retelling, and I am so close to finishing it. Hopefully I can finish it tonight. But in this one, I'm sure I've already told you, so I'm not going to bore you again. But we are getting more of Oren's perspective on things. She's showing us more of her past and why she is the way she is. We still don't know the big one, like how and why Midas Gold touched her. But I think that is going to be a theme, a mystery that runs throughout the story, and we learn more and more with each installment. So, am I enjoying this series? Yes. It is darker, but it is I would say this is very much in the romantasy genre. It is very slow burn. It's explicit. Oren as a saddle, but she's the king's saddle. She's his favoured. Nobody else is allowed to touch her, but he can. But Midas, the king, can use her however he wants. And that is a theme which is touched upon in this one. We learn more, because Oren is in a different place, we learn more about her on her own. We don't see her with Midas all the time, and we see Midas through other people. We know he's a bad guy, but Oren's perception of him is warped because of their shared past, their shared experiences, and also Oren's own personal experiences, which we do see in here. So it is an interesting story. I'm trying to be vague just because it is second in a fairly beloved, well-known, long-ish series. So I am enjoying it. I guess I did want to update it maybe when I was at the halfway mark, but we're probably close to, like, I'd say 80%, because I only actually have this much left to read. So not much at all, and I am very much enjoying it. I think it does have some of that self-published plotting, where I'm probably guilty of this as well, where you build up or leave on a cliffhanger right at the end to get people interested in reading on. And I mean, I've probably done that. I know I've done that with at least one book. But yes, I'm enjoying it. I don't know what else to tell you apart from the fact that it is very hot. And I'm loving my hair. My hair and I are having a bit of a moment. It's listening to what I want it to do, and I am liking how it's coming out. I do really need to dye it again, but that will be a weekend thing. Yes, I've got... Before I start rambling on about something completely unrelated, I'm going to read. And I'm going to put Olivia Reads a Latte's new vlog on. She's just... something about her is very calming. I think she's a bit of a comfort YouTuber for me. But yes, I'll probably check in when I finish this. Yes, I have got changed. It was too hot, so we put the hair up. We're changing into pajamas, but we are just going to have to live with it because it's too hot right now. But I have just finished Glint by Raven Kennedy, and what was that ending? If you've read it, what a twist! I said there would be a cliffhanger at the end, didn't I? Something that flips the stage and gets you interested in the next book. But we had two in this sort of last little chapter. I'm very intrigued about the sequel now. I did not expect that. I expected something similar, but not exactly that. Yes, I am being vague because if I spoil this, you will hate me. It is that good of a twist. Maybe it is a bit obvious, but I didn't see it coming. But yes, that's another book down. I think what I'll read now is something to finish off a series rather than just continue. So I thought A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross, which is the sequel to A River Enchanted, which is Scottish folklore themed. I've got As Good as Dead, which is the final Girl's Guide to Murder book by Holly Jackson, which is a YA murder mystery series. Dragon's Promise by Elizabeth Lim, which is the sequel to Six Crimson Cranes. I think that's just a duology, but we'll find out. I've got Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas and Heart of a Sun Warrior by Sue Lynn Tan. So I don't know if I want to continue a series or just finish one. So I will come back to you when I've decided on what I'm reading. So I have decided I'm going to read As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This will finish out a series, and it will finish out the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series trilogy. If you weren't aware, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder follows Pip as she tries to solve a cold case in which she believes the wrong boy was prosecuted or arrested and thought to be the killer. So she starts up a podcast, and then in the sequel, Good Girl, Bad Blood, she has decided that nope, she doesn't want to do that anymore, but reluctantly gets involved and ends up podcasting as she's trying to solve another crime. This one, okay, I'm just reading the back, and while this is YA, but trigger warnings for stalker. Pip Fitz-Amobi is haunted by her last investigation, but soon a new case finds her, and this time it's all about Pip. She has a stalker, one who keeps asking who will look for you when you're the one who disappears. Pip soon discovers a connection between her stalker and a local serial killer, but the police refuse to act. As the dangerous game plays out, it's clear that if Pip doesn't find the answers, she's as good as dead. I'm thinking this one is going to be a lot darker than the other two. Yes, I'm intrigued now to read this one. Pip as a character is brilliant, and I did watch the CBBC adaptation, and I didn't realise that the girl who plays Pip, is the roommate in Wednesday. What is her name? The blonde werewolf with the... It'll come back to me when I start watching that again. But yes, I did not realise until very recently that that was the same person. I think she's also in the new Minecraft movie as well. But I'm very intrigued. Oh, is there a... Right. I'm just seeing what the final page count is. It's like 551. So I will let you know what I think as I'm reading it. Now again, these vlogs are probably very boring because all I seem to do is write and read, write and read, but everybody's got to have a hobby. I mean, it could be worse. But yes, very intrigued, very, not glad, but very interested in seeing how this series wraps up and if there is room for more, because they are series. I think they're more interconnected standalones, but I could be wrong. But we are just going to dive in. Oh, this is in parts, and I think just flicking through, I think it is mixed media because I know, yep, there's an oh, that's the... Yep, we have some texts and things, and I know in the second one we had Pip's podcast itself in transcript form, so this will be, I'm hoping that this will be along the same lines. But yes, I'm going to read, and I probably won't update again tonight. I'll probably be tomorrow just because it's getting a little bit late and I don't want to interrupt anybody else in the house's downtime. So I will come back to you probably tomorrow with an update. Oh, I quite like this angle, but it is now Friday. I am still just pottering, I think is the best word to say. I've just uploaded the, I'm calling it the final version of Riders to Amazon, just for them to do their bit. I am hoping to get my covers this weekend. It is bank holiday in the UK, so fingers crossed. And I am still reading As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. It is behind me. Right here. Oh, just knocking you off. And as you can see, I am not that far in. I'm on page 209, and I think this book is like 500 pages long, maybe a bit more. Let's double check. 553, 52, let's say. And it is just as dark as I was expecting. I mean, Pip has a stalker in this one, and the police don't believe her, which is actually quite a scary thought, especially since Holly Jackson includes statistics, which I'm sure are... I'm going to pop you there just so we block out the sun a little bit. So yeah, Holly Jackson includes statistics, which I'm sure are true for the UK at the time of publication, or at least the time of writing, and they are scary. This book is probably going to stay with me for a while because of its realism. So obviously trigger warnings for stalking, mental health issues. Pip does take illegally sourced Xanax. I think she takes something else. She's probably been taking something else beforehand as well. So if that is something that you're sensitive to, please be wary going in. It doesn't glorify taking them as well. Actually, Pip is trying her hardest to stop taking them. The events of book 2 have left their mark on her, and she is struggling. But she's not letting anybody know, which is a poor Pip. But yes, we are going to read, and like I said, it is bank holiday. I'm going to keep that there. It is bank holiday, so we are just enjoying what little British summer we get. So hot yesterday. It's not too bad today. Still warm enough for me to wear a dress to work. What do we think? Sleeve that way? I like sleeve that way, but it will annoy me, so we'll just pop it back up. So yes, I'm going to read and chill, I think. Sorry about the clip, I got to put this down. And I will come back to you. Where are we? I will come back to you later. So it's about 2:15. Excuse me. It's 2:15 on Saturday. I finished As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, and I'm not going to look at duct tape in the same way now. But that was a very good story. Kept me gripped right to the end, to the fact that after I left you, all I did was read. So I finished that in like a couple of sentences. It was very engaging and lovely. Not lovely, but a nice rounded end to the series that tied back to the original Andy Bell case. Excuse me. And then I picked up Mina and the Cult. Yep, which is the finale in the Mina trilogy, which started with Mina and the Undead, and then continued with Mina and the Slayers. This is a YA paranormal fantasy, well, paranormal, I want to say thriller vibes, set in 1999-ish, set in the late 90s, which I suppose makes it historical, but as I am also a child of the 90s, I cannot say that. No. We're not going down that route. It was set in the 90s. It's retro, vintage, if anything. And from what I remember, Mina and the Undead sort of introduces Mina working in New Orleans in Fangfest, I think it was, which is a horror-inspired festival of all things spooky, ooky, creepy. And the story goes on from there in this one with it being a trilogy and the end of a trilogy. I can't really say much, but it is going down a different route. I mean, I guess you could sort of tell. We have Mina and the Undead, which is a vibe. And we have Mina and the Slayers, which follows that vibe. And now we have Mina and the Cult, which is a different vibe altogether. It's 385 pages long, and I'm on page 58, which is chapter 10. I am enjoying it. It's fun to be back with these characters. It feels a little bit more fun and campy than, well, I was going to say As Good as Dead, but I think most things are probably more fun and less terrifying than that. But this feels like a fun little story following Mina, her sister Libby, and their friends as they just sort of go around the UK, the US. And I have this is a floppy book. So, I do have a video to film. I've got my April. Forget what month it is now. I have my April reading wrap up to film. I've read so many good books this month. Last month, and I'm hoping to continue, but I'm going to film that tomorrow. I'm also going to try and film some advertising content for, well, not the dragon because I don't have a cover yet. I should be getting that soon, but I want to try advertising the magic books a bit more, just to see what I can actually do. I had a great month for those in April. Excuse me. But the worst thing about Amazon is it pays you 3 months after your month. So you get paid in approximately 90 days after. But at least I'm getting paid. Can't complain at the fact that at least I am getting paid. And I do have a day job. But yes, that's what I'm up to today. I think I might just read. I do have my cross stitch down here as well, so I might alternate between reading and cross stitch, just especially since I want to film tomorrow and I want to look at creating some TikToks and something a bit more worky. I want to take today off from bookish stuff. I'm not counting reading in this, I mean my bookish stuff, and I will come back to you when I've got something to say. It's that hole been there the whole time, the hole in the wall. Anyway, yes, we're just going to enjoy the weekend. I think it's a bank holiday weekend, so I'm very happy about that. But yes, we're just going to enjoy, I think. So, Sunday, we are back next to the holy wall. This is downstairs in the living room. But I have an update and a confession. I'm just going to put you down. I ended up DNFing Mina and the cult. I just wasn't interested in it. I had no desire to find out what happened next. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to unhaul the trilogy. Just because I don't think, I DNF'd the third book and I don't think I'm going to reread the first two, even though I think they work as a duology. So that's unfortunate, but it happens. I'm not going to like everything I read, and I'm not going to hate everything I read. It's a balancing act, and I have too many books to read to force myself to read something I'm not totally invested in. But it is a shame because I did really enjoy the first two. I think what put me off is just the way that it went from supernatural, paranormal, to a little bit more conspiracy theory. And yes, I know Mina's very into them and it works for her character, but it's not for me. I don't really like reading about that, especially if it's it just seemed to come out of nowhere as well. Just something didn't sit right in that book for me. I don't know what it is. It's not the cryptids, it's not the conspiracy theories. I think it's just the way that it seemed to come from nowhere. But next book, you are currently resting on it, is A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. This is a sequel to A River Enchanted, which is a Scottish folklore-inspired tale, which I absolutely adore because it, from what I remember, it touched on the legend of how in ancient Celtic times, like the Picts and clan wars, it touched on the fact that poets were almost feared and respected and almost thought of as magicians in that time. And A River Enchanted focuses quite heavily on bards and music and poetry, which I thought was a really nice way of creating a magic system and a different kind of hero. So from what I remember of that book, we followed Jack, who is a bard. He was sent from the island to the mainland to learn bard stuff to improve his craft, and now he is back on the orders. From a note, I can't remember the specifics, but he is back because Andrina or Andena, I think it's Andena, I'm not sure, I'll have to check. Because she asked, and she is the chief's daughter, if I remember right, and things have gone wrong on their little island. And we also follow a different character as well, but I can't remember the specifics of them. But yes, it was a very slow kind of fantasy, very rich atmospherically, and this is my first Rebecca Ross book. And from what I hear, that is what she does fairly well. She is able to give a very atmospheric storytelling time. So there is that. I'm looking forward to starting it, actually. I haven't started it yet, but I just have to show you the cover. This cover is gorgeous. Adara, that's it. That's who sent Jack home. But 494 pages, and it is quite small text, but we will just crack on with that, I think. The rest of today, because it is Sunday, I'm going to try and film my April wrap-up. I had a really good month in April, I'm sure I've told you. I want to do that and maybe set up some TikToks for the magic series. Just push the cup back on. But yes, I think that's the plan for today. The weather is a little bit hit and miss, and I do have a delivery coming, so I can't really do much else. But yes, I'm just pottering, I think, is the best way to describe today. Okay, so confession time. It's still Sunday. It is about 6 o'clock, so I thought now was as good a time as any to update you, and yeah, just update you where I'm at, things like that. Yes, I am holding the Remarkable pen because I haven't been reading. I have been writing. I'm drafting. This is a very rough draft of the Magic series book 3, which is titled Into the Darkness. Bonus points if you can figure out why it's called Into the Darkness, and see if you can figure out what I was trying to do with the Magic series titles. In case you needed a reminder, book 1 is A Little Piece of Magic, From Witches and Wolves is book 2, and Into the Darkness is book 3, or will be book 3. So I have been working on this sort of in the background for a couple of weeks. Obviously Rise of the Riders has been my priority, my priority project, just because that is so close to finishing and so close to coming out. It's all coming together. I've seen the mock-ups of my cover and it is absolutely stunning. Can't wait for you guys to see that. So while I've been working that, I have made some progress in A Fire Endless by Rebecca Ross. I'm on page 82 and it is going so much better than Mina and the Cult. I'm a lot more invested in what's going on. I remember a bit more, which is probably not the book but me. I think I read River Enchanted a little bit, not as far, the distance between River Enchanted and Fire Endless isn't as long as what I had for Mina and the Slayers versus Mina and the Cult. So we are enjoying this a lot more, and I am very intrigued and invested already. It still has that fairy tale historical vibe, that very what I associate as a quintessential feeling with Scotland. It's hard to put a finger on it exactly, but it's that desolate wasteland, that sense of wonder, that sense of magic that's just in the air, especially what I would consider in the islands. I mean, I've been to Edinburgh. That doesn't feel too different from Newcastle, but it does have that little bit extra. It's got the Royal Mile. It's such an old city, and I think a lot of Scotland is like that. You have these vast expanses where there is nothing, and wild Scotland. So yes, I am very much enjoying being back in this world, and because of where it ended up, because there is a very big divide between East and West, because of how River Enchanted ended, we are getting both perspectives of the East and the West, and I am very much enjoying that. Understanding a lot more about the history of the world, and it still has that very romantic, slow writing style that I'm really enjoying and really in the mood for. But we are writing, we are reading, and we are also struggling to upload my reading wrap up for April. It is scheduled for Wednesday, Thursday. I can't quite remember. And of course the upload failed because the app decided to reinstall itself. We're just going to try again. We'll just try again. But yes, this is why we check things. So I am still, just cracking on with things, and it is a bank holiday tomorrow, so I have an extra day off, which I am so looking forward to, and I will just figure things out as I go. So I think now, because it's 6:05, I think now is a good time. I think now is a good time to end the video. So give it a like, and if you like it, hit that subscribe button to see whatever comes next. And remember, my books, A Little Piece of Magic from Witches and Wolves, are available on Amazon now, available in Kindle and Kindle Unlimited, as well as paperback format. My new book, Rise of the Riders, will be released on the 20th of May. Currently available for pre-order in Kindle, and will also be available Kindle Unlimited and in paperback format when it releases. And I'll see you in whatever comes next.